Greetings petrolheads, welcome back to Automation, the car company tycoon game. Yesterday's video, the two cars were actually pretty close in terms of how good they were, I think. But also reading through the comments, I noticed that a lot of you guys felt kind of similar, like both these cars were really pretty good, but in the end most of you and I still favor the Morrison. So that's unfortunate for you, James, aka Sedan 57 Chevy, but I have to say, unfortunately, you're out. Today we are going to be seeing the Vinzent by Huer, aka Leap, aka whatever other names you had in the past. And we're going up against the Halpin Crossfire BGTC by Animated Gaming. By the way, Leap, when you're watching this video and when you're hearing this, please contact me on Steam or email, or Steam or via email, because I have something to tell you. Let's start with this car. First of all, it looks very modern, like early to mid 2000s. It looks like an Evo with that grille and with these, like these headlights don't look Evo-esque, but they, like, this is not a 1989 styling. I just have to, that's not 1989 styling. The rear lights from a Mark IV Supra, that's also kind of mid to late 90s. I might accept those, but like the front, that's just not era correct. I'm just gonna say that. Whether you guys would put that as a score penalty, somewhat, if I could ever do something like that, but it's definitely something you have to consider, because with the way that this car is designed, there's no way a car that looks like this would have come out of the late 80s. Alright, so now let's get into the mechanical stuff. Corrosion resistant steel monocoque, a chassis and corrosion resistant steel panels. We got a 5-speed manual, we got double wishbones all around, we got a 245 horsepower 4 liter straight 6, and it's naturally aspirated. Let's take a closer look at this engine. So it's a 4-valve per cylinder, cast iron block with aluminum head, single overhead cam, not dual overhead cam, and then we have a forged steel crank, iron steel conrods, and forged pistons. Cam profile is 40, so pretty moderate. The exhaust is restrictive, so if you open it up a little bit, we'll see what happened there. No VVT expected in the late 80s, because like that wasn't really a thing yet. Multi-point injection, single configuration, performance intake, regular fuel, 13.5 to 1 fuel mixture, 6,000 RPM rev limit, longitudinal headers with 2 reverse flow mufflers, so nice and quiet. Let's see. Well, this would have actually gotten it up to 252, so that would have been too much. Okay, so 245 horsepower, 264 pound-feet of torque. That's a really good number of torque. And let's see what that will do. We got a what? What did I just say? We got a geared limited slip diff. We got sport compound tires, 195s up front, 205s on the rear. So this is these are one of the smallest tires, which I think is totally okay. Because like we've seen, you know, 235s all around for like every car so far. So it's nice and refreshing to see smaller or narrower tires at least. But magnesium rims, kind of interesting. Three piston vented discs up front, 3 pistons on vented discs on the rear as well. Now that could be improved quite a lot for better drivability. You could go down to 1 piston, decrease this in size. That would make for a lot more drivability and actually more spoiliness as well, it seems. Fully clad on the tray. Do we have any? Yeah, we do have a lip on the front. Nothing on the rear though, so the rear wing angle doesn't matter, but the front wing angle does matter a little bit. We have way more cooling than we need. We got 4 seats, luxury and entertainment and luxury interior with power steering and ABS, with advanced 80 safety. Last but not least, let's check out the suspension. It's air suspension with adaptive dampers and a reasonably comfortable setup here. It's lowered though, compared to a full-out comfortable or comfort preset. Overall, we have 51.9 drivability, 36 sportiness, 45.4 comfort, 40.1 prestige, 44.8 safety. So a little bit low on the prestige, but apart from that, pretty nice and rounded stats. Costing less than 30 grand, so this is one of the cheaper cars so far. Let's see how that's gonna compare to the other car to date, but first let's check out some more stats. For example, running costs 3,558. That's among the highest we've seen so far. 5.8 seconds acceleration. Top speed is good, it's 247.6, and it could be a lot better if you went for less cooling. And 14.4 quarter mile is still decent. It's not among the fastest we've seen, but it's good. So that sums up the Vinzent Gao. I don't know if that was a real person. I don't know who that was. And now it's time to check out the Halpin Crossfire by Animated Gaming. Oh, another Mustang body. And these taillights are really similar to what we've seen on the others so far. But the front is different. Also sort of like early 90s, but not, you know, super futuristic for the late 80s, I think. Corrosion resistant steel monocoque and partial aluminum panels. We got a semi-trailing arm on the rear. We got a 5-speed manual gearbox. We got a 215 horsepower 3.2 liter straight 6, which is also naturally aspirated. So let's take a look at this engine. Power and torque curves seem pretty similar to the one in the other car, only difference being that this is 800 cc smaller, so there is that. It's made entirely from cast iron though, and it's a dual overhead cam setup rather than a single overhead cam. And we got the same internals. We got 45 cam profile. We got naturally aspirated, of course. We got a single point electronic fuel injection. I think that's the first time we see single point rather than multi-point. We'll see how that works out. Running on premium fuel. Tubular headers. Big enough size, 2 rear flow mufflers, just like on the other car. 215 horsepower, 207 pound-feet of torque. So, the numbers for this car, 56 drivability is really good. Sportiness is lagging a little bit behind though at 27.9. Let's see if we can find out why, except for the fact that this is just less powerful. It's also got an open diff, which isn't really gonna help. It's got medium compound road tires. It's got a very drivable steering behavior here, so that's one thing that you need to balance out with a scale, you know. What do you value more, drivability or sportiness? So far we've seen pretty much exclusively cars where their creator put the emphasis on sportiness. This one is all about the drivability, it seems. Vented discs with 2 pistons up front, 1 piston on the rear, so a slightly better brake balance than on the Vinzent. We have no under tray here, no aerodynamic fixtures either. Also way more than enough cooling. Luxury interior and entertainment as was required in the rules. Then we have power steering, ABS, advanced safety. We have air suspension and a pretty high ride height. Also a very soft setup here. This is actually a normal setup, right? Just with 1 click here and 1 click here. This should be the normal setup, I'm pretty sure. The default setup. 56.2 drivability, 27.9 sportiness, 45 comfort is slightly lower. Prestige 36.1 is among the lowest we've seen, if not the lowest we've seen so far. And then safety is 41.5, which is good enough. This car is also among the lighter ones we've seen though. So let's see how that turns out. So 14.76 quarter mile, which is pretty much the slowest so far, I think. It does pretty damn well in the GT segment though, and it only costs 24,600. And it's cheaper to run. So here's an interesting choice to make. What do you value more? This one, which is significantly cheaper to buy, it's cheaper to run, and it's more drivable. Or this one, which is less drivable, but it performs better, it's quicker, it's faster, but it's more expensive to run and costs $5,000 more to buy. And on top of that, it has styling that just doesn't fit into the 80s like at all. I think if these 2 cars are actually 2 different approaches to this whole theme, and I think that mechanically they both fitted pretty damn well. But if it's going to be a close call like this, I think I have to consider that this car just does not look 80s at all. And as a result, I think I'm going to give this point to the Halpin Crossfire. It may be slower, sure, but nobody said that every car has to make exactly, you know, 250 horsepower or between 240 and 250. Nobody said that. It can be between 180 and 250. That's what I said originally, and this thing fits the bill and strikes pretty much exactly in the middle. Wait, one thing I haven't considered yet is 67.3 competitiveness in a GT market, whereas the Vinzent gets how much? $62.1. Yeah, I think in this case the Halpin Crossfire takes the win, in my opinion, because it's more drivable, it's cheaper to buy, cheaper to run, and yeah, it just takes the crown in the GT segment as well. It's not far enough behind on performance for that to really tip the scales in the Vinzent's favor, in my opinion. But let me know what you think. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you tomorrow with another one. Goodbye.